Hello again to all of you wonderful people and travelers across the information superhighway to the 75th edition of Weird Mind Newsroom, where this week we have a fair few new releases, a small handful of some trailers, and a couple of mixed match news stories. So without wasting too much time on introductions, let's get into all things media that came out from this week.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
So we start off our new releases this week with delving into all things symbiotic, as the most unlikeliest of odd couples from Earth and the cosmos from the pages of Marvel Comics, as after a long journey, it's time to take to the stage for one last time as we receive the final part of the trilogy with Venom, The Last Dance. The film will follow on from the end of Let There Be Carnage and No Way Home, and we'll see Eddie and Venom on the run as outlaws from the law and high-end military are looking to capture them for specific research, while also dealing with symbiotic hunters from Venom's homeworld who may be the key to unleashing a powerful evil, all while they try to make it back to New York, but could be the end of the line for this odd pairing. Reception to this film has been hit with a mixed reception and on the more underwhelming side of things. As well, there is some praise for the performances of the main lead, action, visuals and third act, as well as some decently executed heartfelt moments in there as well. The film is bogged down by a multitude of messy plots and storylines and underusing of certain characters, though it is a film to turn your brain off for 2 hours and enjoy. And if you're up for see how this story will wrap up, you can catch the new film out now in cinemas. And as for the only TV series for this week, and one that many probably don't even realize had been released, is taking us to a new form of an adaptation of a video game based on a series that is as serious as it is over the top goofy sometimes, and has some element of the real life syndicate, as we have received the series of Like a Dragon, Yakuza. The series is taking elements from both the Yakuza 0 and the first game, and follow the story of Kasuma Kairu, a former Yakuza member who after years in prison returns to the underworld during a vast conspiracy involving his best friend Akira Nishiyakiyama and their former Dojima family. Reception to the series is seeing a mixed appeal that while the concept and attempt was made, is missing the appeal of the game series and see as more of a gangster crime syndicate series rather than one based on the Yakuza video game series. But if you want to check it out for yourself, you can catch the first half of the series, the first 3 episodes now on Amazon Prime, with the second half of episodes dropping on November 1st. Next up, it's time for a blast from the past while going really fast for the first of the new games for this week, as we are getting a return to a beloved entry in the series The Blue Blur, celebrating the past, present, and even the future now with this one, with some all new content featuring the much more edgier Hog, as we have the new remaster and edition of Sonic X Shadow Generations. The title will be taking the classic anniversary game of Sonic Generations that will see you play as both modern and classic Sonic and restore their world from the Time Eater, and while that is going on, we get an all new campaign focused on Shadow, following some of the highlights of the series we have seen with his own story from Adventure 2 all the way up to Frontiers, and of his past with the characters of Maria. Reception to this new remaster has been very well received, with praise for the updated classic, the massive new edition of the Shadow campaign, and labeled as the best re-release of a Sonic game. And if you're up for going fast, you can play it now on PS4 and 5, Xbox One and Series X and S, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Our next game for the week is the only time where it is justified that you will become the knight, as after a bit of a gap in time, it is now your time to don the cowl, as you return to Gotham for the all-new game of Batman Arkham Shadows. The game will be set between Origins and Asylum, and you'll once again take control of Batman, as you must prevent the new threat of the Rat King from executing public officials such as Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon, and from unleashing his chaos in Gotham on the 4th of July, as well as dealing with the usual other members of the Rogues Gallery. Reception to this game has also been very well received, with praise of the story, its gameplay and functionality with the use of the VR method. It really puts you into the mind of the Dark Knight. Now, some critique the element of it just being a VR exclusive title, but if you want to try it for yourself, then it's available to purchase now on the MetaQuest 3 or 3S, or if you buy the MetaQuest 3 now, you can actually get the game for free. The last of the video games is about to get heavy, loud, and bombastic, as is that annual time of year once again, where the men and women separate themselves from the boys and the girls, as it's time to go undercover and let the bullets fly, as the annual shooter is back once again with the highly anticipated entry of Call of Duty Black Ops 6. This new entry will see the campaign set in the early 90s and follow rogue operatives Troy Marshall and Frank Woods as they assemble a team of agents to hunt down Pantheon, a clandestine force that has infiltrated the CIA and branded anyone they resist them as traitors of the United States. Reception to this game has been very well received, with praise of the narrative, its multiplayer, its zombies mode, and campaign being a return to form of top tier Call of Duty after a few hiccups over last year, especially after last year's disaster. If you're up to saving the world, then you can play it now on PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC. And now this last new edition is more of a me appeal in the form of I never thought I would see this come out once again after such a long delay, and most people probably, can have a mixed appeal of this series, as it was the last one was supposed just the supposed finale, but after 5.5 years since their last album, the trio of Aaron Hansen, Danny Avidan, and Brian Wecht have returned for some new, more tasty-ass jams, with the 4th album of Starbomb Boom, Rise of Lyrics. This new album will be full of different array of tracks, some question which Pokemon would you smash or pass, which feels very awkward timing after a story from last week. Getting the insight from the big stew of Nintendo games coming because you know about it because your dad works there. A song about dating the sentient pot from Elden Ring, Sonic's wedding, an upbeat song about the plot of the dark horrors of Silent Hill 2, and many more in this new bumper album. Now I don't know how the formal reception this album is, but from my own opinion, that even if I'm not in the best mindset mentally, I enjoyed a lot of these tracks with their unique lyrics and some that have really catchy backing music. The Elden Ring one is got a fucking vibe to it, I will say. But if you want to give it a listen, you can catch this now on Spoofy, YouTube, Apple Music, or even get a physical album now on their website or wherever albums are sold. But with all that, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
Forget about that house, that's the murder house.
On the first of the trailers this week, we're delving into one that was from last week that was released after I had finished recording the episode, but we're delving into the realm of the weird and wacky of the slowly building creation of the DC Universe. For a team that is quite odd, has received a full trailer for the upcoming release of the new series of Creature Commandos. Now the series will see Rick Flag Sr. be assigned by Task Force leader Amanda Waller to lead a new team of monsters who will be tasked on high stakes missions that most humans will not survive, and they may not like each other but they will soon have to learn to work together and help save the world by any means necessary. So the likes of this concept being a more supernatural Suicide Squad and a follow-on from Gunn's film with some weird creatures and an interesting spin on the series in general is something that has my attention and probably worth to check out when it all comes together because it does look pretty interesting. Now the series will be releasing on Max in the US on December 5th, and then after that I'm not sure if it's the same day in the UK and Ireland, but I guess we'll have to see as time goes along. Our second trailer for the week is giving us a focus on the realm that no matter what area or position or career you get into, sometimes you can't always escape your past and will come back to haunt you in any way possible, as we have the all-new action film entitled Love Hurts. The film follows Marvin, played by Ki-hoi Kwan, a realtor who receives a crimson envelope from Rose, played by Ariana DeBose, a former partner in crime whom he left for dead, but soon he will find himself thrust back into a world of ruthless hitmen and double-crosses that will turn his open houses into deadly war zones. So the basis of this was that I was thinking it was going to be some simple comedy or a rom-com or some regards from like just the way it was labeled, but then the likes of learning it was more of an action film that will give Key an action film starring a role that he deserved after disappearing for 20 years and made by those that did Violent Night and Nobody, and it had got me invested. After seeing the trailer I was like, yep, this looks intriguing. I just thought it could be a very decent watch. It's not too far away of release as well, as we hitting the big screen from February 7th of next year. And our final trailer for this week is one that I feel will be a little bit topical and possibly controversial, but I guess it is being based on an event from many years ago. It was going to happen, probably just a bit bad timing, as we received the trailer for the new film of September 5th. The film will be telling the true story of the hostage event that happened during the 1972 Munich Olympics that saw masked figures from Palestine hold the Islamic Olympics team hostage, and told from the perspective of the news team that covered the footage around the clock and showing the terror of the world, but also may put the lives of those in the building at stake. So the basis of why it has proven controversial, as I mentioned, is Palestinians holding Islamic team hostage. With all that's going on in the present day, they're not going to delve into at all because, there's a whole mess of things with that. But it does look like it's shot well, it has a unique kind of filming style, and given a clear form of the whole ordeal, and it has even been tapped as an awards contender from what I've been hearing, and probably be worth a watch when the film releases in the cinemas on January 24th next year here, and on November 29th over in the US. But with all of that, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
Take care of my family, Blade.
On the start of the news stories for the week is starting to notice a bit of a similar pattern of new releases, announcements and updates, and to the basis of this story is with some new casting announcements or rumors, as we have two announcements in the pipeline, one set for a massive production film with a big director, and there's a new film from a giant studio with a well-regarded one in particular. I'll give them a quick rundown here. So we start off the big production of about 2 weeks ago, we talked about the project from the Oscar-winning director of Christopher Nolan. Most we had known from that time was the basis of his next film was coming out July 18, 2026, and that it was also starring Matt Damon in a lead role. And that was all the information we had received of the project at that time, until just earlier this week, where it was announced we have another new cast member join the film, and it was none other than Spider-Man himself of Tom Tom Holland, making a big leap to the huge film project that for the moment is not based on a particular franchise. Now alongside this news was the discussion of some possible rumours and speculation about what the project will be about, as at the moment there is two strong rumours that the first is a period piece about vampires and the other is a upcoming thriller that's focused on some helicopter pilots, but nothing as of now has been properly confirmed. Now most likely this will not be the last of the massive cast list that Nolan is gathering for this film, and I'm sure as more big names join the cast, the plot for the film will also be making its presence known to the public, probably real soon, and I will update possibly in the future when anything does come along for it. And as for the other story, is coming to us from the massive studio of Disney, as we follow their animated into live action films, and it seems we're getting a film based on a new perspective, as it's in the discussion of a film based on Prince Charming, in particular the one from the Cinderella films, that is being made by director Paul King, who you may know as the director of both the first two Paddington films and last year's Wonka movie, all of them which I need to actually do a review for at this point. Now, in the basis of the casting for the film is that it's all looking at the likes that may have found their charming in the form of Marvel star and Australian actor of Chris Hemsworth, which in all sense is not a bad show from that at all, and I know Casey did play, the Huntsman and Snow White and the Huntsman from a decade ago or something at this point. In all sense, it's not a bad show, and I think I'm interested to see if King can make a well-liked live-action adaptation for this. Though, I don't think it'll ever top the best scene with Prince Charming, which is from Cinderella Free a Twist in Time.
Okay.
In particular scene, unless they recreate it, but I'll give a look into it at some point and add later part to my eventual rewatch-a-thon, probably like part 2 or 3 or something, I don't know. Now, I initially thought it was that this was that long forgotten shelved film about a prince falling in love with another prince, but knowing Disney with their queer baiting, I doubt that was ever going to happen, so most likely it's going to be about this story of Prince Charming or something, so who knows. But what do you think of these casting news? Do you see Holland working well for a Nolan project, and do you see Hemsworth be a fine Prince Charming? Let me know your thoughts are down below. Now into the second story of this week. As I alluded to in the first story, we are giving a little discussion on the realms of the superheroes, and more specifically, the heroes of Marvel and the MCU. We have some new concerning dates, announcements, a first look at a project in development, and an update to another project that has been quiet for a fair bit of time, but I'll be delving into them here now. So first, we will circle back around to the new casting. And the last stories I mentioned, we have our current Spider-Man joining the Nolan film for his next project. But it looks like now is that Tom is about to be a very busy summer box office. As just announced on Friday, we have officially got the release date for the 4th entry in the Spider-Man film, which is now be dropping from July 24th, 2026, and be directed by Shang-Chi director of Destin Daniel Cretton. Now, as things stand, it's unclear of what direction it will go, as more speculate it could be a street-level film that leads to the massive events of Secret Wars a year later, or it could be another bit of a massive multiverse film and include the other Spider-Man in it, but I feel they should wait for that until the Secret Wars film to really get that scope more of the excitement. Now, it could be leaving to the latter, but more in the realm of the Symbiotes suit, as from what I've heard, a rumored subtitle for this was King in Black, which could connect to the character of Noel from the newest Venom film, but I guess we'll find out. In particular, honestly, I'm hoping for more of a street-level hero type film that connects to the overarching story with like Kingpin and leads to the multiversal threat after in Secret Wars, but I guess what this is, production begins on that film sometime next year. But speaking of another Spider-Man from a different part of the multiverse, we have a little update to another project that is in the works, and that is the basis of the live-action TV series based on the character of Spider-Man Noir that has been in development for the past couple of weeks, and while there was initial photos of Nick Cage on set out of the spider suit, it's only just been unveiled as of Friday that something snagged a photo of them filming the series and got the first proper look at the Noir suit in live action. Let me tell you, this suit looks so goddamn beautiful. Like, I had my worry it would not be as appealing, but they damn well made it look comic accurate and close to the version from Laura Miller's film of Spider-Verse, make it close to the comic accuracy, and has been invested for the context of the scene that you're filming, which seems to be like a possible car chase or something like that, and how it will all come together. But I wanted to give it a little look-see at the elf for its wall-crawling detective, and honestly, they cooked with this one. Now, but for the only other story of news that we have an update to the MCU is one that was kind of expected, but is still disappointing to hear, and has to do with the new take on the character of Blade. Now, it's been over 5 years since it was announced that a new film based on Blade was in the works, with Mahershala Ali cast in the role of the Daywalker himself, and has seen a fair few shifts in releases and changes in filmmakers and writers, and pushbacks for a fair bit of time. And it seems to have caught up to them again, as it was announced earlier this week that the film has now been delayed indefinitely and has been taken off the release calendar due to all these development issues. Now, it's a shame, as it seemed like it was a prime time for a new take on Blade, but I guess it had difficult to make it right, and the whole joke from a certain film that came out earlier this year, and I can get it would be an injustice if it was a failure, but I hope it will have a chance in the future. Now, to me personally, I feel there's two methods as to how I see them make a reappearance, with the first being the utter news of 3 new dates for the MCU slated for 2028 in February, May, and November of that year in particular. So maybe they could release it by then, or there is the second option that could build to the overall narrative set for the next phase of the MCU, which would be the case of supposedly rumored being the supernatural realm. In the case that, in this regards, they introduced the character in the second season to Moon Knight, or maybe even Daredevil, or like its second season, as a character with a bit of a presence, and then it could lead to the beginning of the next phase that we could see the star of like him leading the first film on that next saga, which would fit the tone of his character, and one that was a big flagship films with that first phase, and help then lead to a building of the Midnight Sun series or film to properly give him a proper presence and make up for the constant delays. Now, do you feel that they will release this eventually? I feel maybe I do. I kind of believe so. It will probably be a time we're getting the right crew together, but I have to hope that this hunter will rise again real soon. But what are your thoughts on all this Marvel news, and are you looking forward to the next Spidey film? And what are your thoughts of the Noir Alpha, and do you see Blade releasing in the future? Let me know what you think of all this down below. Our third story for the week is going to be a little bit of an update to a mixed array of stories from last week, and that is with a quick follow-up to one of them in relating to the video game adaptations. So the story that I brought up last week and amongst some release dates was for other titles was with the element of a new series based on the game franchise of God of War, where that news was that the announcement that the showrunners and writers for that initial series with Amazon Prime had left, despite some script drafts that were made that were very well praised the studios Sony and Amazon themselves, and the uncertainty of the series was then thrown into disarray about how everything will work itself out. But thankfully that worry has been resolved for the time being, as they found a new showrunner for the series. Now on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week it was announced that the series has a new showrunner, writer and executive producer in the form of Ronald D. Moore, who is known for his credits on the series of Outlander and For All Mankind, as was working on Battlestar Galactica many years ago. So likes of the realer sci-fi or fantasy seems to be in the wheelhouse, and the series themselves have all garnered some form of acclaim and fan bases over the years and many forms of franchising, so I feel it may have some good concept in their hands with this pick. It will be done to see how this development goes along now of all this going into the adaptation, as well as finding the right casting for Kratos himself. But I'm sure we will learn more as time goes on. Hopefully it will be a smooth process into a proper development and be a smash hit success in particular. But what do you think of this new showrunner for the series, and who would you cast for the role of Kratos? And this is based on the kind of Norse era of games, who would you cast as Atreus? Let me know what your opinions are down below and let's discuss them there. Now our final story for this week is giving us a whole array of new announcements and projects and updates to the likes of many different franchises that are under the banner of the 20th Century Fox studio. As a recent event of discussion that they have some insight from the studio head into all the projects they have been pitched and developed for future releases and some updates to their other projects. But I guess we will find out as they come along in development, so let's delve into the projects that have been discussed as of right now. So we start off with the news of a franchise that will have the first of some new releases is with the franchise of the Ultimate Hunter in the form of the Predator. Now the character has been seen a few times the last few years with a mixed appeal, but the most recent title of Prey was a commercial success and well acclaimed as one of the best films in the franchise since the original or even the first sequel, and many had wondered if there was going to be more coming from this franchise. Well, thankfully you are in luck, as it was announced that the director of that film, which is Dan Trachtenberg, was that he'll be releasing a new Predator film in a year's time. It was announced that the film of Predator Badlands will be releasing in the now vacated November 7th 2025 release slot. Not much on this one is known, on that it's going to be set in the future at some point in time and also be starring Dakota Fanning in the lead role, so we can look forward to that. But it's not the only former Predator film that is actually coming out in 2025, as there's also apparently a secret film coming out either around the same time of the film or before that in the earlier parts, and it's rumored to be a possible animated anthology film. That'll be worth to see how this rumors come out if they're true, because it sounds intriguing and I'm not sure what the animation style is. It could be like the Star Wars Visions series, but who knows. And for those that were hoping for a follow-up to Prey in particular, going off how the credits hinted at a possible sequel set in that same time period, then you're also in luck, as a new film sequel based on that film with the lead actress and probably the director of the said title will be on the way back real soon. And it looks like it'll be an Ultimate Hunter, still has a lot of people on its list to take out, but it'll probably be worth a check when it does come along. But going from the greatest hunter to the most dangerous life form, we have to talk on the opposite that's often connected to this franchise, and that's with the Alien films. Now we saw the case that Alien Romulus came out just a few short weeks ago and proved to be a critical and commercial success, with the film being the highest grossing horror movie of this year and the second highest in its series, just behind Prometheus. And it looks like like they are not just leaving that story unresolved with how the film ended, as also announced this week that we will be getting a sequel to this year's Romulus being in the works, with Kylie Spaney and David Johnson both set to return in this new film. Now it'll be worth to see if this will be set nearer to the sequel film of Aliens or even the one of the two games of Alien Isolation, but I guess we'll have to see how that comes along. I look forward to checking out that film when it does. But it's not the only possible alien news, as while I mentioned how it's always connected to the other creature, there's been rumblings that we may see a possible new take on the Alien vs Predator franchise in the near future, and given how well both franchises are doing with return to form and appeal, I feel this might likely we'll see some soon, and maybe worth seeing when it does come along. But also what else you bring up as well, case with Romulus, they announced this week that they're releasing this movie on VHS, which I find a cute little concept, and hopefully like that shit sells well, because that's a really unique concept idea, so that's really intriguing. But I'm looking forward to all this concept anyway. Now we talk about Monkey, as we have some news concerning about another film that came out earlier this year, and that was with the Planet of the Apes series. Now we have gotten the newest entry of Kingdom just earlier this year to follow on from the excellent trilogy, and actually turned out really well both critically and commercially, and it seems like a start of a new trilogy. And now we have an update to that, with confirmation the sequel to Kingdom is possibly in the works and eyeing for release in about 3 years time in 2027. At the moment we have no clue if the likes of the director of West Ball will be involved with the project, as he may be busy with another series with the form of that live-action Legend of Zelda movie for Sony, but I'm sure you will learn more over time if he will be returned or if this will be a different director for this time around. And if it's good as this and goes to a more higher level similar to the last trilogy, then I'm all for this series, because I really enjoy Kingdom. Well, I look forward to it. The second last update I can provide from the studio is one that I did not see come along, but I mean, in an era of legacy sequels and revivals, it was probably going to happen, as one of the films that was discussed was a possibility of a third film in the Speed franchise. So the likes of which I have to wonder would be, what would this mode of transportation be for this one, as the original was a city bus, and the follow-up was a boat. Some of the last likes is like a plane, train, truck, or a similar future-based car or something like that is anyone's guess. Or if the likes of Keanu Reeves or Sandra Bullock will be making a return for this one, or if it's to be all new cast. But I guess we'll learn more as it does come along in the future, but I'll have to keep an eye out till then to see what this comes along like. And the last update is one that is a callback to an episode from a good while ago that has gotten a bit of a disappointing update, and that's with the over-the-top spy film series of the Kingsman franchise. It's been 4 years since the last movie, and 7 years since the first sequel, and it's been a bit of time since we're getting a third film in the main series with a focus on Harry and Eggsy's story wrapping up in a trilogy, as well as a sequel to the Kingsman prequel, given how the film ended with a tease for a sequel with a certain dictator. But it looks like the franchise is in a bit of a limbo right now, and have no plans for release of entries in the series anytime soon for the moment. It's a shame, as there was all talks they were going to start filming around this time this year, with the third film having a title currently as The Blue Blood. Maybe elements of getting Taron Egerton and Colin Firth back with schedules and other projects that you're working on, as well as some other members of the cast of the film. Maybe also to do with the mixed appeal and disappointing box office of Matthew Vaughn's most recent spy film of Argyle earlier this year, and want to wait for the moment. But hopefully it'll make a turnaround real soon, and we can return to this franchise again and get some really more over-top set pieces like the first film's church scene or the opening car chase in the Golden Circle. Let's hope it's sooner rather than later. Maybe even that Statesman spin-off can get up and running as well, but who knows in particular. What do you think of all this? What are your thoughts on all the content from the Fox film announcements, and which of these are you looking forward to the most? Let me know what you think of all this down below, and with all that, that's all the news that we have for this week. So for this week, I thought as well I'd add in a little bit of a special segment, as I feel I will focus on giving a bit of an appraisal and appreciation to the work of one individual, a very important individual to me in particular, and show off their new piece of fantastical creation and give it all the praise it deserves to be seen. Now, I mentioned a few times before in the past about the creation of 3D models from this very important person, or who goes by the name of Starlight, who has done in the past, and they have made some of the very best creations of work and design that I have ever seen. And every time they share the stuff with me, their work in progress or the finished models, I am just like, just always mesmerized, blown away. My eyes just grow to like giant, like cartoon size, just in awe, like just shininess is like, wow, that kind of regards. It's like, it's a beautiful thing. Like it's always lovely, beautiful creations, and I just want to always just share them, and shows how amazingly talented she is, and I loved it about her. Her newest model is in the form of a piece that's entitled as the Dalmawak Castle, which is found in the region of Dunbartonshire in Scotland, and I think it's really got looking very close and accurate to the design, and maybe one day take a visit there with them. and we see if we get see how accurate it looks like in the flesh. It may be even better to me personally, but I want to share it with everyone because I feel it's like a very wonderful piece. They are so amazingly talented too. They put so much time and effort into it, and you know, I want to give it all the love and deserving it is if anyone is watching it. Just kind of case because they put so much effort into it, and it's what I want to do. I want to share all the love and stuff in particular. And if you want to help out and purchase them all for yourselves, you can do so online on Sketchfab, or the link will be in the description, stuff of that regards. I think it's a new place. Sketchfab is having a bit of a weird changeover, and show the support and even maybe support her other fantastic model designs as well. Give a purchase, maybe vary in price and stuff like that, but you know, all the support is anything, because she deserves all the praise and recognition, and I always be proud of her and continue to support the creations, and may even show more of them in the near future if she's up for them in particular. But that's all I want to give in regards. And if you want to give something of a shout out of like any special segment, like in particular, if anything you want to share, like a new project, a new announcement, new anything like that, let me know down below in the comments, or if you follow me on socials, just message me there and I will add them to the stories and put them down the line. So yeah, go check out her work because they deserve all the love in regards to their creations. So now with all of that ends episode 75 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my rambles for a fair bit of time this week. Anyways, let's get into talk about all the updates for this week. So anyways, start with reviews. Reviews wise, a case instance, they are coming along. I didn't really have much of a focus in this week in regards. I was kind of planning out the things with the Halloween stuff. Horror Sport might be delayed in regards. I probably might make it delayed. In a case instance, just trying to plan out watching the 3 films and getting all the footage together, and then just like recording and writing up some bits and pieces about it. Just get my thoughts on all 3 of them. Like in most cases, it'd probably be a follow up to one from last year, one maybe set in my homeland, and then one that's probably the worst reviewed one. I think there's 2 that are like 17-16%. I'll have to see which one's the worst one, or maybe do both. Maybe do a 4 film series, but I don't know. I'll see in regards. But they will probably come by the end of this year, maybe a little after Halloween. But I apologize for the delay. Just had no energy to really focus on it. Besides that, more reviews will be coming. I'm just going to decide on which ones from the past and the present I'm going to do. I might do a double feature involving the robot films, because I did see Wild Robot this week as well, and if I could say that I was bawling my eyes out for the second half of that movie is an understatement. I was sobbing. I was like uncontrollable mess for a good bit of that movie, like just crying at it. In the same case, I watched another film this week which was about a certain presidential candidate that's in the US, and it wasn't a bad movie. It's really dark and messed up in some regards, and just shows how he became who he is. But you know, it's that regards. I might do it down the line. Who knows? Might do a short. But then in regards to case as well about some other stuff. Gameplay wise, I have some clips ready to go. I have a few for Last was ready to go, and then need to record more for Mario and actually get to Cyberpunk. I'll probably gonna do a casings where I'm gonna hold on them for a little bit and do a recording for a horror game for at least next week for Halloween, at least to make up for Horror Sports delay, which is gonna be a case I might do Outlast because I have that ready to go on my Switch, which will do the first game and I'll do the DLC, just kind of as a case where I'll do a few parts in that one and have that ready to go for use for the spooky night. I'm gonna have them out by Halloween, so at least to give that regards. Maybe the full game or something, I don't know. Other than that case instance, we have more gameplays coming, but we'll see on the lines. And then for the likes of the Rewatchathon and the AI stuff, they are coming along as well. I'm going to work on them over regards. And then Harmos Bor, I will get onto them working straight away. I'm just going to plan out the films, record my reactions and bits and pieces to them, and then just do a whole case of uploading the video when I can. So expect a delay on that one. I apologize for that. Anyways, that's where I leave the episode there for now. So if you enjoyed my content and want to see more from me in particular, and maybe more of an upbeat tone, then simply like and subscribe, as I upload new videos every single week. I'm looking to reach a goal of 100 subs by the end of this year. We're at 92 and I'm hoping to reach it by the end of this year. So let's get together and like make it happen. And I appreciate every single one of you who already subscribe and watch my stuff all the time. Like, I appreciate it. And let me know your thoughts down below on everything that was discussed this week, from the new releases, the trailers, the news, and give your thoughts as well about, like, you know, and even check out the special segments as well in particular. Just, I hope to give them great support. But anyways, I think I'll leave the episode there for now, because I think I rambled along long enough. As always, you all stay being wonderful people and have a great day every day, doing many great things, and to keep being you, because no one else can do what you do. So with all that, I'm gonna get myself out of here and start editing this as we speak. But as always, I hope you all stay being beautiful people, and I'll see you all in the next episode. So take care, and I'll see you later.